Hello, everyone. Today I had the opportunity to talk with Ashley Enfinger, who is running for Houston County Commission, District 3. Now, we were able to talk a little bit about his motivation, what his background is, why he's pursuing this office at this time. He's been a native Alabaman and has been living in the local area for pretty much all of his life. And now what's changed and what did the needs arise such that he was hoped to serve in this capacity and address some of the needs that he sees that the county commission performs for our local community. We had a wonderful conversation talking about his family, his motivations, and even were able to share some of our shared experience because of his time being in and around law enforcement. Anyway, we had a wonderful conversation, and I hope you'll join us for this journey. Well, thank you very much for coming to talk to me. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
So far, it's been a privilege. Once we started this podcast last year for the church, the goal was just to get to know people of the community, and I got a chance to talk to business owners and ministry leaders. I mean, Susan's running the Wiregrass Wiregrass Hope Pregnancy Center, but also interview other business owners who are unique to the community. Carrie, who owns the Thirsty Pig, and so people are like, okay, I'll watch that. A priest talks to a bar owner. And so that was, the great conversations that our parishioners have benefited from, but it's kind of going beyond that too. And other people in the community saying, hey, I saw that conversation. Sure. It was helpful. And then it occurred to me, I wonder if those who are running for office, if that would be helpful to them too, just because of how we could kind of talk about from the perspective of why the people of God ought to care about it.
Absolutely.
When someone's either holding public office or running for public office, that's significant to them too. It's not obvious to me at all that God leaves those things alone.
I agree. So, yeah, definitely. I agree with what you're saying there. Running for public office for me, like I say, it's been a long time. It's been about 13 months I've been running,
Just to clarify, it's Houston County Commissioner District 3.
District
correct?
3, that's correct.
Right.
Yes.
So which is mostly south and southeast of the circle.
It is,
correct.
Now there's a small portion of that goes inside the circle there
right.
between Main Street over to South Park. So
Okay.
between Harley Davidson, if you go in, run over to Main and then take a left on Main going back toward the circle, there's a small portion inside of that.
Okay.
But it does cover an area over on the west side of Dothan as well. So
Okay.
Down John D. Odom, where you turn there, it goes back towards Brandon, or some people call it 605 Brandon. So that area, there's a lot of homes inside the Dothan city limit that way as well in District 3.
Okay.
They are. Yeah.
I'm very vested in your campain because I live in District 3.
Do you really? Great,
I do.
Great.
Well, outside the circle. When we moved here, we moved up here from Central Florida, and where we lived was kind of a little bit rural. I'm like, I don't think I can go back to kind of the urban setting. Sure. And so we found a wonderful home that was down Hodgeville Road down that way.
Yeah, you mentioned that the other day, Hodgeville.
Exactly,
yeah,
not far from Memphis Baptist Church.
I used to stay in Hodgeville a lot. We had some friends over there. We went to high school that we stayed over in Hodgeville a lot.
Oh, it's a beautiful area. We loved it. We found exactly the right spot. It's fantastic. Mm-hmm. But now I'm finding out a little bit more about what the county commission does and how they minister to the needs of the broader county. And I've been very curious as to what the county commission does in meeting the needs of these areas beyond the obvious, like roads and those things that everyone just assumes should occur.
Sure.
But also wanting to find out about how, when you do this and when you're running for office, what is it? Because if there's an incumbent who is running for re-election, and so you're running to unseat them.
Well, not in my case, no.
Oh, really?
So
okay.
The current commissioner there is Ricky Herring.
Okay.
He's actually lives in Hodgesville too. So believe it or not, live there where you are. Ricky's not rerunning.
Oh, I totally got that wrong. I'm sorry about that.
He is not. Yeah. So currently there's me and one other candidate that are running, and we neither one have been in politics before per se. Yes, sir.
Very interesting. Mm-hmm. Okay. So so my research was wrong. I messed up names.
You're okay.
So yourself and one other person are running for the office that's going to be vacated.
Correct.
And
That is correct.
and my hope is to talk about, I've seen your signs around town,
Mhm.
and I've seen a couple of the commercials as well.
Sure.
Because that's the only commercial that runs nowadays is someone's campaign running for.
Right now, absolutely.
Exactly
You
right.
can find a campaign sign or a campaign commercial anytime you want of the day.
Oh my
I promise
gosh!
you,
And no,
between
when you
something.
watch the
Yeah.
local news or whatever, it seems like that's the only commercials running anymore is the candidate so and so.
Sure.
And you'll see two candidates, and this doesn't happen too often, but often enough that it sticks in my head that I'll see two candidates running for the exact same office who will both say about themselves the same things.
Mm-hmm. It happens. It does.
And
I've noticed that a
so,
lot.
and so my thought is, okay, if candidate A and candidate B are both saying the same things about each other,
Sure.
do those cancel out? Do those traits cancel each other out? And therefore, now I'll be looking for the differences.
That's right.
Pick your favorite Venn diagram. If those circles overlap enough, I could ignore the overlap and just focus on
The outside.
what are the differences.
Sure.
And so that's kind of what I was hoping to kind of
talk about. Absolutely.
talk about with your two.
Absolutely. Well, me personally, and like I say, the candidate that's running against me is a great person, a friend. He's actually a football coach of my son's, believe it or not.
Oh wow!
So we have a good relationship, and we've probably had one of the cleanest races, I think, out of any campaign in Houston County, to be honest with you. So, but back to the differences between us is, I've been in business for about going on 20 years.
Okay.
And I take a big perspective, and I've had many things to overcome over the last 20 years, We look at the commission currently right now, and we talk about those simple things that everybody knows, or
Right,
I
right.
say everybody, they don't. So to your viewers, there's a lot of people that don't know what a county commissioner does.
Okay.
I've encountered that this entire year while I've been campaigning. You go and they go, what do y'all really do, Well, the biggest part of that, and basically the legal part of it, is controlling the budget for the county. So
okay.
that's one thing that's a high priority, but if you look at the commission now, it's very diverse as far as, it used to be road and bridge, and then we have law enforcement, obviously, that we hand out money to for the sheriff's department, things like that. Wish to mention I am a reserve deputy sheriff, so I know a pretty good aspect of the law enforcement side of it.
Okay. And did I see correctly on social media that you received the endorsement of Sheriff Valenza?
I did.
Oh, that's fantastic.
It's absolutely fantastic. He is a great man, a great personal friend of mine that I've known him and his wife for a long time. Not only that, he's a mentor. He really is. I've been to Donald about a lot of things outside of the political arena, and I take his advice. He's a wise man.
I've been mostly in and around fire departments,
Sure.
and again, they shaped my view of God and people in ways that seminary seemingly never could.
Mhm.
However, in all that time, I got a chance to work alongside and get acquainted with law enforcement in some ways, and as a result, some of my best friends were
Police officers.
and specifically in I came up from Seminole County in Central Florida, and my best friend there was a Seminole County Sheriff's deputy. And we hung out all the time, and he'd say, "Hey, Aaron, you got a free day? You want to ride in my car?"
Ride? Yeah.
And I'm like, Zach, please, just you got to promise me no mutual aid calls with FD, because if they see me in your car, I'll never hear the end of it.
Right.
Because we all know there's kind of this guns and hoses rivalry. It's a sibling rivalry, but nevertheless, every now and then we'd ride a call. I'd ride a call with Zach, and I'd show up, and there's the fire department going, "Chap, what are you doing? Well, you've crossed over to the dark side." I'm like, "No, I have not crossed over to the dark side." But as a result, so when I interact with Dothan PD, but specifically Houston County SO, I'm just have a great affection for them.
They're awesome. They're awesome people up there. They're caring people. I tell you, they really care about our community. And contrary to what you said here, I think actually, as far as your local volunteer fire departments and things like that, they have a great relationship with the sheriff's department, and vice versa. I see utilization between both departments all the time. They're looking out for each other. It's probably a little bit different down in a bigger city where you were from. It probably is more of a rivalry, but I think here that relationship is very good. It really is. It's absolutely good.
Well, when I say sibling rivalry, because they do definitely, at the end of the day, they are all brothers.
They are.
They really do see themselves that way. And I can't tell you how many times I've been on those calls with FD and Leo and whoever. However that unfolds, they very much back one another up in every way possible.
They do.
And so that's why for me, it was oftentimes a natural and organic outgrowth to make friends in law enforcement, because there I was right alongside them on the same call. Sure. And how often I was be able to be in those situations and make those friends with, a sheriff's deputy or a police officer and say, "How are you doing?" And the conversation was very natural. And so it's a friendly rivalry in some ways, specs.
It is.
But we do sometimes, you see those little needling going, okay, those cops, if they grow up and they're really nice and they really eat their vegetables, they can be a firefighter someday. And so,
and I'm sure they think the same.
I know exactly.
But I reckon the goal between both is, we're talking about protecting lives. That's the thing. I mean, is your firefighters are out there, and God forbid that's a horrible situation with a fire or small children or even pets, anything out there. Fire is the last thing you want to see, but also at the last time that you want to see, you have to respect law enforcement just as much, or if not in this day, even more, because of the world we're in.
Unfortunately, fire service is still the last profession where, as a total stranger, you can show up at someone's house at 3 a.m. and they'll hand you their kid who can't breathe.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, the world we live in right now, that can't always be said of law enforcement.
True.
In terms of welcoming you at that time of the morning.
Sure.
And it's very unfortunate, because in all my time riding with my friend Zach, who's sheriff's deputy in Seminole County, or anyone else, because I've done ride-alongs everywhere I've lived as well, just to kind of get to know local law enforcement. Mm-hmm. In all that time, what I've seen is that if you take one of the Beatitudes from Jesus' Sermon on the Mount, blessed are the peacemakers, and craft an entire career around that, that's what I watched. And that is someone who is artfully and wisely bringing peace to a scene where it seems to have fled.
Mm-hmm. I agree completely with that.
And it was masterful. I was always watching. In fact, I like I said, my friend Zach in Florida, whenever we ride together, I'd say, have you ever arrested anybody? I don't know if I don't think I've ever seen that. You always somehow talk everyone down and make everyone calm. And are you really? He's like, Aaron, no, seriously, I'm a tough cop, honest. I'm like, I have never seen it. I don't know what you're talking about. And so I would joke with him about that. But every scene, it's amazing how often I would ride with law enforcement, and it seems as though every one of them has a master's in psychology somehow, because of the way they're able to bring that to all those skills to bear,
sure,
to find out what the problem is. Why is peace kind of fled the scene right now, and how can we reintroduce it? And just that calming presence with authority of adjudicating the matter right there on the spot. And it was always amazing to watch to me, especially when I would interact with law enforcement who themselves were converted Christians, because I've seen young men who grow up in church and they're like, how can I make the best impact in the world? How can I do the most good? And as you're mentoring these young men, to eventually advise them, saying, consider, sheriff's office, consider a police department, and to see them take that on as a Christian responsibility.
Absolutely. I think listening, like you said, we look at the last thing we want is confrontation in law enforcement.
Right.
That is the absolute last thing that you want. I feel that with myself too, and it's funny you said a psychology degree, because that's something I've always loved law enforcement, always loved them, and never had just been in that. Probably back in the day, if things had been in a different world, I'd probably be in the military and law enforcement myself as a career, probably, to be honest with you. But just things didn't work out that way. So we got involved with reserves. But what you're saying right there is absolutely true. When you have law enforcement there, they're not there to be the bully or the bad guy.
They want to go home too.
They want to be the mediator, and they want to walk away with that and peace be there. Absolutely, that is their job. That's our job. Say there. And that's what they strive to do. But sometimes you can't do those things. Unfortunately.
You're there to bring peace, and that may be that you're bringing peace for those involved, and it may be that you are bringing peace for the community, because in spite of the person who is refusing to adopt peace for themselves in any way, and so and unfortunately, you have to have all the tools of the trade available to you in order to make that happen. There are times in which you are introducing peace back into the scene,
sure,
despite the person who seems to refuse it at every try. Yeah. And
I'm getting to like you more and more. You've got a great, really intelligent, thinking the way you think like that I wish more people thought that way, really, because that's what you're saying is so true. It really is.
Sorry, I'm monopolizing I want to hear more about your story and how you came to be running for this office, and I want to interrupt you again. I'm sorry about that.
I love the conversation. So, but getting back into it, it was. I thought I could bring something to the commission.
Yeah.
I'd never been in government before, and I talked to my wife. Well, actually, I'll tell you the whole story how it happened. So we've got a successful hardware store down in Rehoboth. We've been doing that for a few years, and before that, I was in the Sears businesses all around the whole Wiregrass, actually. But one day, a customer come in. They said, "Man, you're just a nice guy. This and that. You need to get into. You need to run for commissioner." Well, at the time, I knew Ricky Herring, who's the current commissioner.
Yeah.
And I spoke with Ricky, and I said, "Ricky, I said, if you don't run for commissioner, I said I would never run against you. I think you're doing fine." And I said, "But if you're not going to run, let me know." And I think time went by and clicked on. It was maybe 5-6 months later, and me and Ricky spoke, and he decided that he wasn't going to run again. But when he didn't, then I got really involved and interested, and I started going to commission meetings. Like I said, this has been about 13 months ago when I started. And trying to learn the governmental processes and what goes on, and exactly, because in reality, there's a lot of people that don't know what a commissioner did. When I first went to a commission meeting, I knew what I thought they did.
Right.
But whenever you go there for a year, and I've seen you there many times, thank you for coming in and doing.
You got to do your homework.
Absolutely, you have to. You have to do your homework because it entails much, much more than what the general public thinks or knows. So you first of all you think of roads and bridges, and that's what a commissioner used to be.
Okay.
That position has definitely morphed and transitioned into things that are much more involved with local municipalities now. With obviously some of these sports projects, now we're talking about we've got a jail issue.
Right.
This is a big deal. It really is to the county and to the residents, not only for just their roads, which is something we've got to take care of, but as far as providing infrastructure, looking for industry to come in, opportunities for jobs. The community I'm in, for instance, in Rehoboth, which everybody knows Rehoboth. That's the boom, and I call it the Beverly Hills of Alabama. Okay, it's like this little place that just keeps growing and growing and growing, and people want services and things there, but they're trying to still, at the same time, keep it a small community, kind of like moving to the country, but having all of Dothan's amenities there.
Right.
Well, sometimes that don't marry together.
Right.
To get the needs of both people that are for growth and that are maybe want things to stay similar to what they are. But anyway, I was trying to think what I was going into that. But with Rehoboth, the commission, they helped them establish this new ball complex they're doing down there. Don't know if you've seen it. It's absolutely beautiful. Without some of the money that the commission got through a lodging tax, that would have probably never happened.
Okay.
And it's just not for Rehoboth. These are all the municipalities around the entire county have been provided some funding for improvement projects, or maybe a basketball court or a concession stand, or you name it. They've done many, many things with recreation for that, with that money that they received. So that's important too, to get outside of our big cities like Dothan, for instance, which Dothan's, that is the heart of Houston County. I mean, it is. But
eighth largest city in
top 10,
Alabama.
It is top 10, and I think it'll be even probably 7 before long if it keeps going.
I think so, and because post COVID, and the remote work really became in demand.
Sure.
And you're just not going to fit that genie back in the bottle now.
No.
As people discovered, I could actually work for X but live in place Y.
Sure.
And that became very attractive. As a result, people got a chance to kind of look around the landscape of since my job no longer requires my physical location in a place I'd rather not live, I'm going to make that choice.
Yeah.
And so I think that you're going to see more of that going on.
I agree with that 100%. That's why I think we see so much growth within the county. Everything's kind of stabilized now, but a couple years back, right, especially during COVID, is where we've seen the big boom. But if you look around the county right now, you see developers, and you see even I think the Dothan mayor's got a big place going down in Rehoboth. That he's building there beside the school. So I think people are investing in the county right now, which is great. But with those investments, and we're bringing homes there, we've got to have support services and infrastructure for that, obviously. Yeah. That's a big part of the commission's job. It really is. Big water main. We got sewer going down that way. 231's expanding. That corridor south, it seems like, and from what I've been told and listened to government officials that have talked about all this stuff, we looked at the 605 study that the state done for that corridor that really turns off of 84, not far from here, and just goes straight through and comes back at 231. Well, now they're doing a water study for that corridor because, infrastructure currently right now, there's not a lot of water sources down there. In the county, most people are on wells, unless there's a municipality like, for instance, Taylor or something that has a water system for them. So the county's trying to get ahead of that right now because as we see this positive growth coming, probably from now till forever, I don't think it's going to slow down. I don't. I think one more little housing boom and it'll just explode again. I think things kind of calm down a little bit right now, but Back to that. Why has it calmed down? Well, we look at the economy now. People. I've been in business for 20 years. I can tell you the economy is not as strong as it's ever been right now. It's not.
No.
There's middle class America right now, and these are most of my constituents that are middle class America. I understand that, hey, as a county commissioner, we need to do whatever we can so they don't have to spend more money because money's tight right now. Everything you buy at the grocery store, from the fuel to everything, it's just so expensive and high. Middle class is really hurting right now. There's more of a diversity and separation between the middle class and upper class now than there probably have ever been in the last 2 or 3 decades.
I know, so. And it's too bad. For me, I remember specifically during national elections or something where like people go, could you just not get into that? Nevertheless, it does affect our lives in some ways. And I remember specifically during the previous administration, there were when gas prices were up, there was a bunch of there's someone going around to different gas pumps putting little icons of the president.
So I did this.
I did this. I wonder if those same people are now going back to the same gas pumps and putting up a different icon now.
Right. Not that I see.
I mean,
not that
it's
I
like
see.
You want to be consistent in your critique,
right?
And right. I mean, if President A has this effect, and President B has the same effect, you want to maintain consistency in your critique of national policies, right?
Sure.
And so that's.
I agree. I don't think the president is directly affecting the fuel prices, and this is just my theory. And I look at the bigger picture sometimes and think maybe a little differently than others, and try to find actual research and facts. So I think Wall Street's controlling this gas price. That's my theory. I really believe that. I think that these guys are hedging and buying fuel, and they're keeping it high. And I don't know if the president has control of that to the degree we'd all like. Right. I know that he is trying to do some, the federal fuel tax, for instance. I believe that's 12%, which that helps. But still, when you look at the facts, I mean, we're still paying twice what we paid for fuel not long ago. So.
Well, we also have to count our blessings, though, too, because I went out and visited my family in California.
There's no telling.
$3 extra per gallon. Whatever you're paying here, add $3. That's per gallon there.
Yeah.
And I remember I sent a photo of the gas station price to my wife. She's like, you're making that up. That's you totally photoshopped that. No, that's the actual
the real price.
Right?
Yeah, I know. It's definitely affecting everyone's pocketbook. Now, as a commissioner, I'm not going to tell you I can change gas prices.
No,
I can't. I mean, that's something that we're not.
I wonder if there are ways in which locally you're able to mitigate the harm that you find from some other policy, like.
Yes and no. I think there is some at that mitigating federal level stuff.
Yeah,
it's very difficult. It's so far ahead of and above where we're at, as far as the local stuff. But I think what we can do is, and this is a proprietary component of my entire campaign, is being. I don't know if you led me to this or what.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
But I'm a stickler when it comes to using our tax dollars as wisely and efficiently as we can. And what I say with that is I can give you 100 instances, but I'll give a big one that just pops in my head. So currently right now, to pave a 2-lane road for a mile, it costs the county around $185,000 in material.
Okay.
A few years ago, that cost was around $65,000. We had COVID, and obviously things went up. But are we doing our best job right now paying that? Are we out there shopping that around? Are we trying to create competition out there between different vendors to get these prices down? Something in my campaign I've noticed is we don't. We use a lot of the same vendors, and everybody's happy, and it goes right along, and the jobs are great, and they're doing a good job and everything. But I think we have to be more proactive with our tax dollars. Or I say proactive. We have to shop them around, and that's what we've always done as a business owner. I've always tried to get the best deal on something, so when I sell it, I can make a decent margin. Right. Well, it's kind of different with the taxpayers' money. Obviously, you don't make a margin on the taxpayers, obviously, but. What you do want to do is you want to utilize those dollars that their hard-earned money that they're giving the county. We want to make sure every cent of that money is spent wisely. So that's something that I think I can bring to the table. You said differentiate, between me and my opponent. That is something that 100% I think we have a difference between. My opponents work for I believe they're one of the largest welding supply companies in the world. And when you get into the type of money that companies have like that, sometimes
Frugality is not in the
gets,
lexicon.
It gets overlooked. It does. It gets overlooked. I did a video the other day, and actually, I think I put a statement last night to a guy that had a question. He was talking about what differentiates, we're saying the same thing between you and corporate America. And I said, well, you can come to my store and you'll get service. And I said, I'll probably have more registers open than this big corporate place does, with 100 times the business and customers. But that's the way I look at it. I look at the county as a customer. Yeah. And that's the way we've stayed in business for 20 years. We've always been good to our customers. We've treated them with respect. We've listened to them. We've tried to get the needs that they want to make it right. And I think that's something that's very important as a commissioner. It's just common sense is what it is. Take care of the people that elect you. Take care of the people that support you in your business, your family, your life, whatever it may be. Right. Your church, it doesn't matter. If people are taking care of you, give them that same attribute and respect to give it back to them. Take care of them just like you'd want to be treated. That's as simple as I can say.
You'd like to be able to say to constituents when they ask about will to whatever extent, taxes in Houston County might increase. When they ask you, will they? You'd like to be able to say to those constituents, why no? Sure. We were so frugal with the money we had that we were able to handle our expenses and produce a bit of a surplus. And so, quite frankly, no. And so you'd love to be able to tell them that.
Well, I'll go into that real quick, too, of course. So in election year, you're never going to hear the word tax increase. I promise you that. You'll never hear that. Ever,
Oops.
Even if you need it, you're not going to hear
it.
You're not going to hear it. As far as surplus, though, you talk about that as far as a county, we don't want a surplus. I don't want a surplus. I want to make sure those tax dollars are going back for benefits to the citizens. Right. So at the end of the year, do I want a couple million sitting around? No. Do we need a reserve? Sure, absolutely. Right. Yeah, we need a reserve, but let's get that money and let's. That's what it's for. It's
Hurricanes happen, though. I have to admit,
go back to the taxpayers. So from everything from paving roads, which we got some really bad roads in the county, not particularly in my district. I think it's pretty well down there, District 3, but over District 2 on that side of the county, there's a lot of bad things over there. And that's the other thing, too. Being a district commissioner, a lot of people think about, well, this is just for my district. I have a different opinion on that. I think we're for the whole county. And I think if all the commissioners work together, we look at results for not only each other's district, which is important. That's our constituents live and take care of them we could. But let's make the whole county better overall. And if we do that, I think naturally, if we make everything better, right, it's all going to be better. I mean, it's just a simple philosophy of taking care of the whole.
Well, that district is electing you to sit on the panel and cast a vote for things that must be voted on in chamber.
Sure, absolutely. And for the county. That is right.
For the county, right? So, I mean, no one like myself living in District 3 thinks, oh, they're going to make life better for me than, say, over a District 4.
Right.
And so, no, that's not how that works.
It's not.
No, we're representative to send you to be one of those votes on the county commission for what the county does.
For the county. Exactly. But the district level now, what that is designed for is to bring the needs of that district to the attention, basically, of the chairman. Which, the chairman basically sets the agenda. So that's what they do. So if I've got an important thing down, let's say going in Taylor, Alabama, which is in the district, let's say, for instance, and there's a problem over there. Well, I'm the representative that needs to find out that problem from that resident or from that constituent, then take that to our chairman, and then our chairman present it to the commission. Okay. And then the commission vote on it to get that repaired, fixed, solved, whatever, resolved. So that's the kind of the way that things work. A lot of people don't understand that either, is that a commissioner has one vote. And there's 4 commissioners, 1 chairman, and the majority rules. And that's just the way it works in government in most cases, right? I mean, if we do that from Congress to the Senate and everywhere else. So as a District 3 commissioner, let's say Bobby comes in and says, hey, I need my road paved. Well, I've got to take that before 3 other commissioners and a chairman, right, just to get it looked at and talked about, and we all have to come together as a whole or as a unit and say, that is a problem. We need to consider fixing that.
But they're still hoping you'll be persuasive.
Sure, absolutely. You have to be persuasive. You have to represent your district well, 100%. Yeah, you do. You do. But it's for the county. I want to say that. It's not just for each district. It is for the county, and that is all the way that's voted on. I wish you've been there many times, and in the commission chamber, sometimes you have 2 people, sometimes you have 20. It just depends on what's going on. But that's something I encourage, people out in the county that don't know about county government. Come up there and tell us, because if we don't know, that's one thing we'll never be able to fix, is a problem that you don't know.
No, the reason why I go to the county commission meetings is so I could observe models of how to run a good meeting.
Sure.
Because
It's pretty
because
slow up
church
there,
meetings are a thing,
Yeah.
and you have to be able to go like, oh, did I hear from everybody while we're talking about this?
Sure.
Like,
Sure.
but so anyway, I got you going on issues, and I intended to start out with your story, and I apologize about that
That's okay.
because you're talking about how you've been in business for some time.
Yeah.
So I'd like to hear about you as a native to Alabama.
Sure, absolutely.
Right.
Was born. I'll just give you a quick life story.
thank you.
Born and raised in Rehoboth, Alabama. Lived there my whole life, with the exception of about a year and a half. Where right before Katrina, I moved off with it was a local company. It was Old Dominion Freight Line. They gave me an opportunity to go down to Mobile, and they were trying to get a terminal down there kind of turned around, and they thought I had some management skills, and they were like, Ashley, go, and they knew I loved to work. So I was working back then, but you can't even do this now. I don't think it's legal, but back then I was probably working 70 hours a week as a truck driver, So I was,
oh my goodness.
Yeah, I mean, we were driving, but I loved money. I loved earning money. I had a lot of ambition. I wanted nice things in life, and I just loved working, man. I would go down there and work 40 hours on the dock, and then I'd drive for this many hours, and then on the weekends I'd grab what they call basically a set of 2 trailers, and I'd take off to Memphis or take off somewhere and come back. I just worked. That's all I did.
Oh goodness.
That come from my father. My father's Gary Enfinger. My mother's Kathy Enfinger. She's actually been in business for about 40 years. My mom has. Still in business. I don't know why she won't retire, but she won't. But she does custom draperies, and she's been in window treatments, and we were talking about interior decorating.
Right.
That's what she does. So she's been doing that for about 40 years now.
Is her business here in Dothan?
It was in Dothan. She originally had a business there, and Mom slowed down a little bit. So Dad built her shop out there right beside the house. So now she's got all her equipment, machinery, and tools and all that stuff.
Okay.
Out there in a business right beside their house in Rehoboth, so she can just kind of walk across the yard and go back and forth to work. So,
no, I think that's I think that's wonderful because I mean, retirement is more of a cultural than biblical concept. Because I mean, there are reasons why a person can't work their way, up until their 80s, whatever. Sure. But unfortunately, for many people, our mortality rates in terms of post-retirement are, a significant statistic in terms of once a person retires and they lose purpose.
I agree.
And so you don't want that. As long as a person is able to do the thing that gives them purpose, go at it.
They're happy.
Oh, absolutely.
100% happy.
Enjoy it. As long as you're physically, cognitively able to do that thing, keep it going. Because I can't tell you how many times you see someone's retirement, they've X'd out the date, and then in their calendar after that is just all fishing. But you
only do it so long, right?
Well, it's like, okay, that person's not long for this world because they haven't given themselves another purpose to accomplish.
Sure.
In many ways.
Speaking of seniors, absolutely. You see that all the time. You do, where they retire and they cannot wait to retirement day. Right. And then they turn around and then, 2 weeks later after they've golfed 12 times or went fishing 12 times or whatever their hobby may be, they're like, I got to find something to do. And usually they're walking in my store and they go, you need any part-time help? Usually, we have older folks all the time come in, they're just trying to get out of the house. They want to have a purpose again. They want to do something.
Right.
And I love it because these older generation people, man, they'll outwork these young guys any day. I mean, they will. It's awesome. And they know how to treat people. It's just it's a different generation that we've kind of lost touch with in America. We have. So you've
been in rehab, except for the short sojourn in Mobile. You've been
here. 45. Well, if you took off that, we've been here in Dothan 45 years.
Children?
I do. I have one son, Bryson. He attends Rehoboth. Just took him yesterday. I think day before yesterday. He was at Beta, and he got some kind of award. He's a smart kid. I love the guy. He's at that age where he's becoming a teenager. Sometimes you want to, shake them, choke them, whatever, we all done it at that age, obviously, but he's a great kid. I have been so blessed with him. I have a great family. My wife's Nikki Enfinger. I bet when I said that, everybody around here's like, oh, I know her.
Right.
I know her. I know that name. Right. She's a popular woman.
Your claim to fame is that you're married to her.
Yeah, I'm very lucky to be married to her. I mean,
right. That's your claim to fame. People are like, oh, so he's...
That's the guy. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly. It's funny. I've heard it so many times. Like, your wife needs to be a commissioner or probably a president, honestly. She is a go-getter and a doer, and she'll give you the shirt off her back. She is involved with anything and everything that she can do with our community. And we've both done a lot of that. Me and Nikki have been married for about 8 years. Better make this right. Yeah, going on 9 years now.
Okay.
We got our son together, Bryson. Like I say, he's at Rehoboth, a great kid. It's just a normal family. I mean,
It's just
we're just normal family,
you
so.
get those teen boys, and you're like, there's more energy than sense, and
Yeah.
somehow, like cognitively, we're hoping you'll catch up, but you've got all the energy right now,
No.
and
And they eat like a horse too. I
oh
don't
my
know where he
God,
puts
out
it.
of
He's a
house and
beanpole,
home. No,
he's like
you
4
should own
hamburgers.
stock in
Where'd
Publix
you
if you
do?
have to, because you're constantly going back to the grocery store for them.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so, and no, my boys, my boys are grown now, but I remember they were in their teens or 2 years apart,
Sure.
and it was a fun time. But you got to burn off the energy, and
You
so
do. And
I
they grow
remember
up so fast too.
Oh,
I mean,
gosh.
he was this big and now he's tall as his mom. It's just
shooting
like overnight.
up like
It
crazy.
is.
So I remember they first got their first video game, and I was opposed to video games for a long time, but eventually somehow they got an Xbox. I said, "That's fine if you want to use that, but any day you want to play your Xbox, you owe me 100 burpees." And and they're like, "What?" I said, no, that's fine.
That's
but
the deal, yeah.
Right, exactly. But I'm just saying right now, in this household, you will not be the couch potato who's playing video games.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, you owe me 100 burpees if you want to play this thing. And they're like, okay, so you want to knock them out? Some days they go, I don't need
Then
to
they
play
don't
that.
wanna play.
I don't need to
Right.
play that.
Yeah,
I don't
don't
need to
wanna
play
play
it that bad today.
Oh, yeah. They're all that way. My son's the same way. I'll tell you, he likes video games too. I think all kids do now,
Right.
But he's not the kind of kid that sits on it all the time. He likes outdoor activities. We've got some dogs he loves playing with, and he's really big into basketball. He loves basketball, which he should be. He's a tall kid, and he's got that basketball kind of frame and everything. And
Right.
I think he'll be a great basketball player one day. So.
So what do they think about you running for a county commission? Is it strange? Is it weird? If they're like, I mean, obviously they're supportive, but still though,
Yeah, they're 100% supportive. It's not weird, I don't think, at all to them. I think my wife, she done a video the other day for me, and she was kind of telling the story, and she said she had prayed that I would change my mind, because she knows as our business is and our family and all the things we are involved with, from anything from our church to I don't know if you've heard of Red, White, and Boom. We founded
right?
that, and then Nikki's. She's the treasurer of the GOP for Houston County. It's just we have 100 different things going on, but we like being busy. We're busy people. We enjoy things like that, But she said, I prayed that he wouldn't do that. And that's just because she never got into politics really. She was always like, hey, let's just focus on our business, our family, our faith, and the things that we're involved with now. But I think there's I'm not going to say there's a calling. I don't want to say it that way.
Yeah.
I think there's a greater responsibility for people that have the ambition and have something that can provide to the community, that they do these services or try to do these services,
Right.
or run for office or stand out more than the next person, because I think that's something I've always had ambition in life. I remember, do you remember Baywatch?
Of course. Okay, yeah, I was a teen boy at one point. Of course, I know Baywatch.
Right.
So,
Do you remember Pamela Anderson? She had a Dodge Viper. That's when they first come out. Well, when I was a little boy, and I say little boy, I don't know how long that's been. I said, one of these days, I'm gonna have one of those. Well, I had two. It was. I'm just an ambitious person.
Right.
If I see something I want, I go after it,
Right.
and I don't care what I have to do. If I have to work 100 hours a week or whatever I got to do,
right.
I get focused on a goal, and I've always persevered by doing that, and
Right.
always, like I've got a business I'm fixing to completely redo. As soon as this election's over, I've been spending so many hours for the last year. I've actually neglected that, in all honesty, being away from the business as much as I have. And I'm like, we got to fix this. So as soon as the election's over, I'm going to get in there between now and, if I do win, in between I take office in November, I'm going to redo the whole store. That's just the people we are. We don't know how to fail. I mean, that is it.
Right.
And I think everybody does fail at life at points. I mean,
Of course,
there is
no
way
ready,
to
fire, aim,
avoid that.
and so.
But we do everything that we can not to fail at anything that we start or create. That's me and her both. That's just the way that's the people we are.
I think ambition is completely allowable.
Sure.
I mean, unfortunately, it does get a bad rap sometimes among in religious speak, because people confuse contentment for complacency.
Sure.
And so, since contentment is a Christian virtue, they'll push that to go, well, then is ambition somehow a negative? Like, no. I mean, we're just talking about not being complacent. And one can be content while they're pursuing excellence in greater responsibility. We see this in Jesus' parable of the talents,
Sure.
where to one that was given much, He given many talents, and he went out and made more out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then someone was given some talent, and they made some more. And the one who was given, just one coin, he didn't do anything with it. And Jesus says, "Okay, get away from me, wicked, evil servant. What you had, you didn't do anything with it at all. You just buried it in the ground. You could even put it in the bank and earn interest on that."
Right.
And so there's this sense in which, from that, we can derive this sense of, to those who have much and they're going to make more with it, the productive person. Now, that person is advancing something in God's world. They actually have purpose. They're moving forward with their skills and abilities.
Mm-hmm.
So ambition by itself isn't a negative. It just requires context and foresight and some self-awareness too.
It does.
Because ambition that runs roughshod over people, that's the thing that we would critique.
That's the negative. That's correct.
Exactly. But ambition that is honest, and I do run across people who are ambitious every now and then, and they'll put it in churchy language of, well, God called me to X. And you're like going, you really just want to do that.
Yeah.
I
don't think the Lord called me to do that. I do not. I've had callings before 100%, but this is not a calling. I don't think this is a responsibility.
The Bible uses the term calling rather narrowly. Regarding people to be called in Christ, mm-hmm. and sometimes called in specific ministry.
Sure.
But other than that, we tend to throw it around liberally regarding
Very
our
much.
Favorite thing.
Very much.
And that's where I kind of like bristle a little bit sometimes. But I'm like, okay, let's just be honest and talk about how you really wanted to do that. You have the skills, the abilities. This seems to fill a need that's going to be fulfilling when you meet it. Mm-hmm. And let's be honest about that. Yeah. And so I have no critique about someone's ambitions to be well-pleasing and to ambitious to be useful.
Yeah. Moving forward, what you said,
right.
I think is the exact terminology that I would use for something like that. It's like if you're complacent in your still, you're not growing. And
mm-hmm.
whether that may be in your faith, your business, your
right.
personal life, your marriage, you can put that terminology to anything basically
right.
that you do. I think you always need to be moving forward in some direction to positively benefit yourself or another.
Right.
I mean, it's just that's just who we are.
Right.
I mean, that's all I can say.
Yeah.
We don't quit. We just keep going. I mean,
exactly.
That's what we like.
No, I think I think that produces very positive results for not just yourself but many others as well.
It does. It's almost a catalyst in a sense. I've had so many young people come up to me and say, "Mr. Ashley, how did you do this?" Or I got rid of the cars. Don't have those anymore. I went to a tractor and a farm, so we live on a dirt road. Matter of fact, so not good for sports cars. But they always look back and they say, "How did you get to where you're at? How did you do this? How did you do this?" I just tell them, man, it's hard work. Just never stop. Just mm-hmm. focus on where you want to be. And when you get to that point, I said, that's not the point that you're meant to be. That's just a stepping stone.
Right.
Get to the next one and the next one and continue to move on. When you're talking about greatness and excellence and things of that nature, there's excellence in a lot of people, but does that mean that you reach your capacity and your limit?
No.
Absolutely not. You can always take that to help another person, or you can grow yourself from that point. So I reckon you'd say, I don't want to say the right word here, but I do believe spiritually the Lord tells me just not to stop. He says, keep.
Right.
You've got more in your life that you need to do, that you can do, that you can provide for people. And I'm sitting here tearing up a little bit, but I really do believe that. I think He's put me in positions to be able to do what I'm doing right now.
Right.
I mean, not everybody can go out there and do that. It's a lot of money.
Right.
It's a tremendous amount of time.
Mm.
I don't know how someone working for another person, honestly, without having the marginal freedom that I do
right.
with owning the business, can get out there and be a commissioner effectively.
Right.
I really don't believe you can, because it's engaging with people. That's what you're out there doing, is representing people. So you've got to have the time to sit back. And at our store, it's great because the little hardware store we got, it's not like a Walmart where there's 100 people in and out every hour. We have those customers who just come in and they just want to talk.
Yeah.
Now they feel obligated to buy something, but they'll come in there and talk for hours, and we enjoy that. We love talking to the community and stuff like that. And that's a big responsibility as a commissioner. You've got to be able to talk to your constituents and have those relationships with them, where they can come to you and say, "Hey, Ashley," or stop by the store. "Hey, I got this problem," because back to what I said earlier, if we don't know about it, we can't fix it.
Right. Do you? What church do you attend?
I go to Mount Eden Baptist Church on Irish Road in Rehoboth. I was telling you earlier, it's a very, very old Baptist church, Been remodeled, obviously, but I think it was built, and you don't hold me to this, but I think back in the 30s. Our preacher is Don too. There's some people around here. He's a character, a good guy. I don't know if you know Don or not, but you guys will get along. I don't think anybody couldn't get along with Don. He's a mess. He's a mess. He's a good personal friend. I love going over there. Before that, we actually attended church at a larger church in Dothan, and was good friends with the pastor there too. So we've been going over to Mount Enid now for, I think, roughly about 3 years.
Okay.
We love it. It's right down the road from the house. It's quick to get in and out. We know everybody in the church because it is a smaller church. Really enjoy it.
That's why that's why I am myself a small church advocate.
Yeah,
I'd never been able to relate to, well, no, in my past I could, but then I can't right now relate to this phenomenon of someone saying, I'm now going to go worship Jesus with 2,000 of my closest friends. And
ain't no way.
Right, exactly right. And so like I said, the fire service really shaped my view too. And if you're going to be, if you're going to have a good response time to people in the community, from a fire service perspective, it's not going to be by having one giant station in the middle of town. No. You're going to have small stations all around town. And I oftentimes tell people, if you really wanted to take over a culture, would you rather have a 4,000 member church in your city or 4,000 member churches in your city?
Yeah, exactly.
And so I'm very much a small church advocate in that regard. Yeah. And so because that's where that cross-pollination social impact happens, where the body of Christ all kind of knows each other, and young men have older mentors, and young women and older women are able to mentor the younger women, and the children are able to play together, but also grandparents are able to see how the younger children are playing, and so I'm very much an advocate for that. But the thing I'm really proudest of for them of your church is that they would send someone out like you into a responsibility like this.
Sure.
Because I do think that it's good for clergy to stay clear of politics in terms of being independent, but Christians not. And I think that the church ought to be inspiring people within their congregation to say, you have the skills and abilities and the wherewithal and the ambition and the drive and the energy. Go make the world better this way.
And the morality, and that's another thing too, is whenever, like I said, I didn't feel like this was an actual calling. No.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to take Christian values to your government. That's what we need more of, obviously, So I'm not going to go over there and step on anybody's toes, but I know where my morals stand. I know where my beliefs are. And I'm sure that would impact some decisions I'll make going down the road.
My reading of early colonial literature from America's founding is that it seems as though the framers assumed that those who served in government were having their conscience trained regularly on Sunday at church.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why they could get away with fashioning as little government as they did.
Mm-hmm.
Because the assumption was all these people were self-governing by submitting themselves to
their faith,
God as their king, and the rest of the time.
Yeah.
We don't need a king from England because everyone has the Lord Jesus, the Lord Jesus Christ in their hearts anyway. And so in that manner, we have no problem with people serving the citizen statesmen serving in that capacity, because they'll have to face their fellow congregants in the face, eye to eye, when they go on Sunday too.
That's right. That holds you in check.
Exactly
it does 100%.
right.
It does. It holds you in check. It really does. And I think that's a positive thing. I don't think that's a negative at all, to be honest with you. Everybody needs accountability. Every person. Because there'll be a time that every human on earth, we do something that's not right. We're all sinners. We are. And we have to take that, and we need our support from our churches, from our preachers, from our friends.
Yeah.
But like when you said, it made a lot of sense what you said about the 2,000 best friends in the church. Well, I don't have 2,000 best friends, and I know everybody in Dothan. I can't call 2,000 best friends,
right.
So when you get in the smaller community churches like that, it really is nice because you know everybody's name. You know if you need something, you can call them. And I really enjoy it. I do. But I agree with what you said. If you got 4,000 people at a church, if you've got 100 churches or 40 churches with 100. I think you can service whatever you're doing better with that smaller portion, larger count.
People ask me, they say all the time, well, what's your standard? What do you think is about the appropriate church size? And I always say, how many names can your pastor remember?
That's a good point.
So it can be kind of elastic that way.
Yeah.
But pretty much however many names your pastor can remember, that's about the size of the church should be.
I agree.
So
I agree with that. That'd be great. Now, finances, I have no idea how church works with finances. I know it's
Yeah.
usually through offerings and things of that nature.
Yeah,
So
right.
I know that prohibits that a lot, it seems like. If we go back to every problem in the world, unfortunately, it always boils down to the root evil of money. I mean,
well, the love of
so,
money, right?
For the love of
You're
money, yeah.
exactly. Well, that's an important distinction. But but for the most part, it's encouraging to me to see someone who has a deep faith and whose conscience is being shaped within their participation in the body of Christ is taking that responsibility and those skills and that conscience into representative government. And so that's encouraging to see.
It is.
So
like I say, you got to have great morals. You got to have a good foundation.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have that support, like you said. Everybody's going to make a bad decision and a bad mistake. It doesn't matter who you are. If it's the president of the United States or if it's the babysitter. I mean, everybody is going to have a challenge in life, and that's just the humanity of things. It is. So we need that backup and that support, 100%.
Well, thank you very much for coming to talk to me. This has really been a pleasure,
Hey,
and I
absolutely.
appreciate it.